Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if you're new here then hi, my name is Emmy. Make sure you subscribe for more reading content, vlogs, bookish things, fun stuff. When I'm not here on YouTube you can find me over on my booktop because I post every day on there. But anyways, I was going through my YouTube comments recently and I had some comments like, Emmy, are you going to be doing the mid-year reading tag? And I was like, what's that? My baby booktube status is really showing. So I actually went onto YouTube and looked up the mid-year reading tag. There are many booktubers who do this video and I got some great new reads from those added to my want to read list. Everyone kind of did their own thing, so I couldn't find like an official list of questions and I don't know who started this type of tag, but I decided to just take questions that I liked from most of the videos that I watched from mainly these creators, and I sort of put together 11 questions for my own version of this tag. So this is my mid-year reading tag and it is a mid-year book check-in to see how we're getting on, thoughts so far. I also just think it's going to make my end of year reading wrap up a bit more digestible because too many books, guys. It's a ridiculous amount. Now, you all know that I am an absolutely feral book reader. If we take a look at my Goodreads reading challenge, my goal for the year was to read 46 books. And then I hit that, so I thought I'd bump it up to 100 books. And then I hit that. We're sitting at 119 books so far. I am 69 books ahead of schedule. I don't think I'm gonna update my goal again. That's not the point. Like, I've already hit my goal twice. It's also my first year of reading, so I wasn't gonna put like 150 books or something, because that was ridiculous for someone who only read like 5 books last year. So I don't really know how we got here, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. Do I think that everyone should read as much as me? No. Like I said, I'm a feral book reader. I have fallen so hard into reading and books. Reading is my #1 hobby and passion. I love it so much. I love to talk about books. Obviously, that's why you're here. I'm reading so much, I'm waiting for like a sort of a slump to hit. Now, I have had little baby slumps, like I've read a book and gone, nothing is hitting after, and I'm struggling to focus, I'm struggling to concentrate, but the amount of books I'm reading in that week still kind of stay the same. And I think that's just because I'm persistent and I am way too determined and stubborn. I'm not going to let a reading slump beat me. I don't know why, it's just something in my brain loves the escapism of reading and shutting off. Yeah, if I go more than one day without reading, yeah, I start to get a bit snappy. So in that case, let's be real, I'll probably always be reading. I use Goodreads for all my like reviews, and when I'm updating books, I like to put in my book pages and percentages and like track my progress, write little notes, things like that. But I do also use Storygraph, and that's just because I like to see my stats. So my reading stats for the year so far, I've read 119 books, 58,000 pages. They have all been fiction. 90% of my books are 300 to 500 plus. Fantasy books, man. Honestly, these aren't that much of a surprise because I guess when I'm reading book series, I'm obviously going to keep reading books by that author. So my most read authors, yeah, because I read big, heavy fantasy book series. Anyways, this video is going to be so long if I don't carry on with it. So let's jump into the questions. So the first one is best books you've read this year. Now I'm gonna try and not put the same answers for every question because otherwise that's gonna be boring. But I don't think I'm gonna be able to just give one option. So we're gonna go into a few. Now, my top 7 books of the year. 7 is a very specific number. I was making a TikTok the other day. Most people are like, what's your top 5 books that you've read this year, or top 5 books that define your taste? And for me, I'm always stuck with the order and ranking of my top 5 because I actually have a top 7. Like 7 is a good number for me. So here are my 7 books that are my favorite that I've read this year. We'll go in order because I have thought about this. I think my 6th and 7th place books sort of switch for me, so they're sort of equally tied, but the first one is the Book of Azrael. This is one of my most recent book series. It's such a big book. I read it on Kindle because they're on Kindle Unlimited, but I am going to be doing a reread. There's going to be 7 books in this series and there's only 3 out so far, but it deserves a physical book on the bookcase. So the Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. This is a darker urban fantasy. The main female character in this is practically villainous. I don't know, something in this just awakened a dark fantasy part inside of my heart where I was like, oh, this is what I love. Like, this is my kind of book. You know, betrayal, deception, proper enemies to lovers who are destined to kill each other, fantasy world building, big fan family, just everything. Amazing, perfect, spectacular. Give me 14 of them, right? And then the number 6 is Spark of the Everflame. I've spoken about the Kindred's Curse saga a lot on here. The 4th book is going to be coming soon. The series is sitting in my top 7. I think it's for the Throne of Glass girlies, the girlies who love political fantasies with a really slow burn. It would be higher up on my ranking if the main female character wasn't as insufferable as she is, because sometimes DM girly just gives me a headache. Now this one, I don't think is going to shock anyone. It is Lightlark. I'm obsessed with Lightlark. Lightlark and Nightbane are such a hit or a miss for most people. People either love it or they hate it and despise it, and they like to tell me that in my comments quite regularly. But I am a Lightlark defender until the day I die. I personally love Lightlark. For me, when I was in this, I was so engrossed. I loved the characters, I loved the story, I loved the development, I loved the love triangle. The next one is Reckless. My last vlog I just posted was a Reckless reading vlog, and I talked about my thoughts in it then, but I'm obsessed with this book. I'm obsessed with Lauren Roberts. Talked about this book so much. Like, my last 5 TikToks are about this, which Lauren Roberts reposted 2 of them, so I ride or die for Peyton and Kai. I think when it comes to character dialogue, Kai Azu lives in my brain rent-free way more than any other fictional character does. Like, the things that come out of his mouth, things he says, just some part in my heart just melts for the cliche and the romance. 3rd place is obviously the Zodiac Academy, because, oh god, that series. I mean, like, the book 1 in it is the most cringe and cliche, and reading some of those pages, you're a bit like, oh, I can't believe I'm reading this, but it's guilty pleasure type of good, so you're gonna keep reading it. Is the writing in it perfect and great and literature? No. But the vibes are absolutely everything. There are so many misconceptions about this book series. These are adult books, right? So there are spicy things that happen, but everything is consensual. Number 1 pet peeve is like people on Book Talk saying that, or even like Goodreads, one of the number 1 like reviews on there is someone saying that there's like non-consensual stuff. No, there isn't. There isn't. It's not dark like that, guys, like, at all. The worst thing that happens in there is bullying, pushing someone into a wall or pushing someone into mud. That's it. If you think Zodiac Academy is too dark for you, I promise you it's probably not, and what you've heard is incorrect. Jamie has a very good video on this. I'm gonna leave it linked down in my description if you want to check it out, because she talks about all the misconceptions and things about Zodiac Academy, and I just want to like pin that on my own profile. Everyone needs to watch this. Zodiac Academy to me just guilty pleasure. It's like the Vampire Diaries meets Gossip Girl. It's like university, college, academy. Kids are 18. Crazy stuff happens. There's werewolves and vampires and dragon shifters, astrological magic system and elemental magic. It's so good. It's such a good guilty pleasure binge read. Obviously book 1 and 2, no one's gonna be surprised. We have A Court of Silver Flames and Empire of Storms by Sarah J Maas. Now, ACOTAR and Crescent City are my 2 favorite book series. ACOTAR is the first book I picked up this year and is what started this 119 books read book obsession. And I read ACOTAR, Crescent City, and then Throne of Glass in that order. I love Mist and Fury. I also love Wings and Ruin. I think Wings and Ruin and Mist and Fury are almost tied for me. Like, I just love the political war and action we got in Wings and Ruin, but Mist and Fury had me gagged after A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like, are you kidding me? Like, going from A Court of Thorns and Roses into Mist and Fury. Life-changing. But Silver Flames, I don't care personally if books are written in 1st person or 3rd person. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. When I'm reading them, I can't tell the difference. There's something in my brain that processes what I'm reading in my head that it can make 3rd person and 1st person read the exact same. Like, I'll be reading it in 3rd person, but I'm managing the character in 1st person, if that makes sense. That didn't bother me. I actually liked getting to see more of other characters rather than just like Feyre's 1st person perspective with a more biased narrative. Here we're getting more of what's going on. I hated Rhys for a big part of it, and I actually really liked seeing that side of the characters, because it was giving, yeah, he's the High Lord of the Night Court that is feared and everyone hates because he's an arsehole. We saw that side of him and we see how he's perceived by other people and characters, and I just loved it. But I am eldest daughter, I am thought daughter, I am bossy, and I am Nesta. So I emotionally connected with this book and cried so much. But Aelin Galathynius is my girl. Aelin Galathynius is my favorite book character ever. I think more about Throne of Glass on a daily basis than I do ACOTAR, and Empire of Storms was my personal favorite read, but I read it in tandem with Tower of Dawn, so technically they're together, but like this book I love, and I did prefer this to Kingdom of Ash, just because I don't really like endings of a book. So these Oh, that book's the wrong way around. These for me are the best books I've read this year. Number 2 is the best sequel you've read, so like book 2 in a series. And I do have to go back and say Glow of the Everflame because book 2 is what made it a 5-star read for me. I enjoyed book 1, but book 2 I think is the best in the series. So I said I didn't want to keep talking about the same books, but I would say Reckless as well. I have a few, and none of these are going to be a surprise to anyone. So obviously we have Burn of the Everflame, which is book 4 in the Kinder's Curse saga. Never Keep by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. The authors who did the Zodiac Academy are releasing a new series set in the same world but not like connected. The last book in the Darkmoor Penitentiary series, which is the spin-off series after the Zodiac Academy, which I didn't think we were going to get for ages, but that's Wild Wolf. Also really want to read Wisteria by Adeline Grace, but to do that I need to read Foxglove because I've read Belladonna and I loved it, but I've not gotten around to picking up Foxglove. So I really need to do that so then I can get excited about Wisteria. But I was waiting for the paperback release of those books. Goldfinch, because I am practically finished The Plated Prisoner to date. I've read all the books that are out so far, finally, so I can't wait for Goldfinch. Throne of Secrets is coming out on the 29th of September. I have Throne of the Fallen there and I've not read it yet, so I do want to read that, but I am anticipating loving it because I loved Kingdom of the Wicked, and everyone who has loved or enjoyed Kingdom of the Wicked loves Throne of the Fallen just as much, if not more, so I think I'm gonna like it. I really like Carrie's writing style, so I'm expecting to love it anyways, and I am already excited for the release of book 2. I've already pre-ordered it, guys. One of the most exciting releases of this year for me, other than Reckless, which is already out now and I've read, is Sky Shade by Alex Astor, and that's book 3 in the Lightlark series. That's coming out the 12th of November. The First Prince and the Last Heir is book 2, The Mad King and the False Queen. That was an indie book that I read and it just took me by surprise. I thought it was amazing and so beautiful and such an interesting story and such a good like fantasy book for someone wanting to get into fantasy. Like that's one I always recommend, and it was left on a cliffhanger, obviously. I don't understand why so many people are surprised that practically every fantasy book in a series ever will end on a cliffhanger. Because when I was posting my Reckless TikToks, people were like, is it a cliffhanger? Is it a cliffhanger? Or like, I'm upset if it's gonna be a cliffhanger. I'm like, guys, it's a fantasy book in a series. Of course it's gonna have a cliffhanger. They're the ones I have written down, but so many of my most anticipated releases or things I can't wait are coming out in like January to February of next year. New releases you haven't read yet but want to. So we just spoke about this. I do want to read it. It is quite big, but it's printed quite large, so I don't think it's gonna be that big. But I need to prioritize reading it. It's not on my TBR for the month, but it's gonna be one of those ones where I just like mood read. This is one I hadn't really heard anything about it, and I had seen it in my local Waterstones and the cover was beautiful, and I picked it up and was like, wow, I've not heard of this. I read what it said on the back about like a fallen god and a shape-shifting fox but outsmarting each other. I thought it sounded so interesting, but I didn't pick it up, and then it was in my fairy loot box for June. And I am so excited to read this. And since I've like posted about it, I've had so many messages from people saying like they're excited for me to read this. I haven't heard anyone talk about it though, so I have no idea what's in it, but it's a new release. It came out on the 4th of June, I believe. I don't know if this one counts, but I've got the When the Moon Hatched. This is my ARC edition of it. The only thing that's putting me off this so much is that it is a very, very big book, but because it is on Kindle Unlimited, is it still on Kindle Unlimited? I hope it is. I might like read back and forth between the two, but I have heard like mixed things. I feel like people either love or hate this. And then another new release is The Ministry of Time. This is so, I feel like more out of my comfort zone. This is gonna end up being on like Goodreads top books of the year type of book. And then everyone I've seen talk about this book has rated it 5 stars. So yeah, I want to read this one. Book that surprised you the most. Ooh, I think we're gonna have to go with like contemporary romances for this one, because I knew Emily Henry was good, but this shocked me. I don't know, it just wasn't what I thought it was, and I, even thinking about the book today, still want to start crying again. One Dark Window really surprised me. It was my first gothic fantasy, and it shocked me because I didn't think that I was going to be a gothic fantasy girl, but after reading this I was like, no, I think I'm a little bit obsessed with gothic fantasy. I kind of want to wait until autumn season comes, because reading a gothic fantasy when it starts to get a bit colder and like darker nights, I think that will be fun. And then lastly, A Shadow in the Ember. This book did surprise me. I didn't think that I would love this book as much as I did. It was 5 stars. I still think about it. I need to hurry up so I can read the next book in the prequel series. But like, I had read a lot of Jennifer L. Armentrout books at this point. I think I'd read like 4 of her books. I sort of knew what to expect from her writing style, and I just didn't have too high expectations for this, but it kind of blew them out the water. When everyone said that the prequel series is better than Blood and Ash because of this book, I get it. What books disappointed you this year? Okay, I've got a few. And I don't have physical copies of them because I either sold them or I read them on Kindle. Thank goodness. I think the most disappointing read for me this year, just because I had higher expectations going into it based on the hype around it and people trying to convince me that I would love it, and that is The Cruel Prince. The Folk of the Air trilogy I read. I just personally don't think Holly Black's writing style is for me. I think if I pick up another book of hers, I would probably feel the same. I feel like the content in the books was on the more mature side, but the way that it was talked about was like I was a child. That specific writing style didn't work for me. I didn't connect to it and I didn't enjoy it. I also think Jude and Carden are so overhyped because you barely get any scenes of them together, but people put them on this pedestal of like the best book boyfriend ever and the best book couple, and I'm like, we really didn't get to see much of them together in the trilogy. Like, did we read the same books? And it's not a fantasy romance, it's a political fantasy with a subplot of romance, but I definitely think the romance in it is severely overhyped. Another disappointing read for me was What Lies Beyond the Veil, because this is one of the #1 books that was recommended after finishing ACOTAR to read. Don't read it if you've read ACOTAR and want something similar. This was so bad. It was just, I felt like I was reading like bad fan fiction. Your new favorite author. I think every author that I give 5 stars to is my new favorite author. Obviously, besides like Sarah J Maas and Lauren Roberts, Alex Astor, authors who have become like instant buy are again the Twisted Sisters, Amber V. Nicole, Penn Cole, I'll read anything, Rachel Gillig, and Stephanie Garber. I think they're my top instant, I will buy anything that they publish authors. Most beautiful books / favorite covers. Now, I'm a girly who likes to collect books. I feel like reading and collecting books are sort of 2 different hobbies. I like to collect special editions. I'd probably say any of my special editions. I have the Shaft Me one. I have my ACOTAR and Throne of Glass collector's editions, but I don't know, they're not really my most beautiful covers. My Fairy Loot ones, I think, are really, really pretty. But I think like my favorite covers to look at are probably Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I just love the artwork on them. Books you want to read by the end of this year. This is one that I want to start soon. Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Book 1 in Mistborn trilogy. I am trying to finish my other book series first because this is a big book and I don't like to read too many book series at a time. I'm filming a like continuing book series I'm in the middle of video. I've already done one of them before on my channel, but I have a few book series where I've only got like 1 or 2 books to read in them, then I'll be up to date with publishing or finish them. So I'm trying to get through those before I start hitting my new books. This is one of them. Cassandra Clare as well, Shadowhunters, again for the same reason, because big series, big universe. I really want to read A Court This Cruel and Lovely. I just haven't gotten around to it because I have too many other good books to read, but I feel like this is going to be something I'll like, and I've had a lot more people recommending it to me as of lately, so this is one that I definitely want to get around to reading this year. Six of Crows is another one I've been putting off reading, a book I've been avoiding. Everyone loves it, so I'm sure when I read it I'll be like, why did I put reading this off for so long? But I do want to get it read in this year. But to be honest, every book I have on my bookshelf, on my TBR, I want to get read. And I think that's possible because I have like less than 40 books. So I want to try and get through as many as I can before buying new books. And especially because my last book haul that I did in my book shopping recent video, I picked up a lot of books and they're all the first in a series. So I feel like if I get through as many of those as I can, then I can just keep reading series. But then another part of my brain is just like, if you like one, then read one series at a time. then before moving on to the next. So conflicted. What books do you want to reread this year? Throne of Glass or ACTA? I don't know if I'll be able to get both done this year, but I want to do a reread for them the same way that I did for Powerless and the vlog that's literally just gone up, which is me reading Powerless, Powerful, and then Reckless. And I kind of want to do the same thing and vlog it as well. I want to do one for ACTA and I want to do one for Throne of Glass, like the full series. It would be very big videos, but a similar format, but I think those would both contain spoilers. But yeah, when I was reading the books, again, it was like the first books that I picked up of this year. I really want to go back and reread and pick up on bits that I missed. So either of those two series I want to do, but I want to also vlog it for like a big video, which I have spoken about in my other videos and you guys seem down for it. So if you'd prefer me to do ACTA or Throne of Glass first, let me know, because I'm gonna need your help deciding because I can't decide. A series you want to finish by the end of this year. Okay, let's have a look. I've got a little list on my phone that has all the series that I'm in the middle of reading. I would like to be up to date with the Blood of Ash and Flesh and Fire series because there are so many books in the two of them. I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more books to read in that series. So I think I can do that. That is the biggest series that I've got on the list. So I think I would feel quite productive and accomplished if I could tick that off. I also would really like to read the Red Queen series because I read the first book and I really enjoyed it. The books are all on Kindle Unlimited and I keep thinking about that series. Every now and again I find myself thinking about it. So I'm like, oh, I do want to go back and read it, and I said I was going to go back and read it. So I don't know if that's one that I might just like pick up in between other books that I'm reading when I'm in the mood to read it, but that is one that I would like to finish. The rest I'm not too fussed about. I also need to update my series that I'm in the middle of reading of list. But that is going to conclude this video. Oh my god, I didn't expect this video to be so long, guys. You actually can't shut me up when it comes to talking about books, so sorry about that. If you have watched this whole thing and stayed to the end, then thank you so much. And I also hope that you are subscribed. If you aren't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're here. You know, come and join us. I post videos twice a week, though the last 2 weeks I've done 3 videos a week, and it's intense. I just have so much that I want to share with you guys, but I will be posting twice a week, usually on like a Wednesday and a Saturday, around those days. But yeah, that is everything I have to say. God, I love reading and I love talking to you guys about books, so thank you again. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.